Did you know teachers aren't humans? They're not allowed to show stress or age, have health problems, show fear, waste time, and most of all, fail. They're not even allowed to go to the bathroom. But that's okay, because we're here to talk about how we're all just playing a role. And at 3 o'clock, we get to be us again. 40 years ago, two 8-year-old boys were bored out of their minds in school, and they vowed one day they would do something about it. They did it to honor their friends. They did it to honor their classmates. They did it for the love of learning. I'm Matt, and this is Rob, and 40 years later, we get our turn, but now we're playing teacher.
Recording in progress.
I love it when you say that, by the way, Rob. I don't know why. But that's become like a catchphrase for the show. Recording in progress.
Well, that's what.
Anyway,
I actually love it. I love it too.
That's what the Zoom voice says that when I press the button. So I just repeat.
No,
it.
I know you repeat it. I know, but
you're like alerting us. You know, it's happening. Get ready.
That's going to be a T-shirt. Recording in progress.
Yeah, that's so good.
I'm writing
Welcome
that down.
to Playing Teacher. Welcome to Playing Teacher. I am Matt here with Rob and Brugge, and we are on. So let's just jump right in. It's Friday today.
Hi guys, how are you?
How you doing, Brugge?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Was it
Excited
raining
for
there?
the
Oh, it
weekend?
was raining here the entire week.
It rained for the past couple of days, but then today it didn't really.
Yeah,
I don't think it rained today.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys have any crazy weekend plans? I'm going to see Karate Kid. I don't know what you guys are doing.
Same.
I didn't even know Karate Kid was the movie.
Oh God.
Wait. We went over this last time. What do you mean you know Karate Kid was the movie?
Obviously, I know the old Karate Kids, but I didn't know that there was a new Karate Kid. You mean is it with Will Smith's son or something?
Oh my
Matt,
God!
wait, can we?
You don't
Matt,
know that Ralph Macchio is in this?
Matt, can we just do a quick recap of the chronology of the Karate Kid series? So, Brugge, you've seen Karate Kid 1, obviously, right?
Yes.
Please, Rob.
Okay.
Yes, thank
Karate
you.
Kid 2, when they're in Okinawa. Okay. Karate Kid 3.
I think so, but
This
not
is where
maybe
it gets
once,
fuzzy for you.
Maybe once.
This is the one with
The other
Mike.
ones I watched,
We're only going into this because you said you were such a fan
Yes.
of the characters of the crowd.
Sorry.
Otherwise, if the average person walking down the street, if they didn't know anything about it, we wouldn't care. But the fact that you said it had such an impact on your life,
the first and second one did for sure. I watched those so many times, but the third one maybe once.
Okay.
I don't remember.
All right.
That's fine.
Okay, it didn't have an impact on
How about,
me. I mean, there's arguments that it didn't compare to the others, but I still love it anyway.
No, I loved it. How about the next Karate Kid though, which was with the girl Karate Kid?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
she was that the one where she was dangling off a cliff?
I don't remember. To me, that one's kind of like Rocky 5. Like I accept it, but I don't really, I'm not really,
Yeah, Pat Morita was in it, but Ralph Macchio was out, and it was kind of like retelling the same kind of story, but with a girl, But it didn't hold up to the others, but if anything, though, it still was some. I'll take anything Karate Kid. Mm-hmm. But then they made Cobra Kai. Years later.
Then there's the Karate Kid, like Brugge mentioned, the Karate Kid version with Jaden Smith.
Right.
Yes, with Jackie Chan,
which was good.
They did a remake, but they did not connect it. Correct me if I'm wrong. To Mr. Miyagi at that point, right? It was just like a remake of the Karate Kid, right?
Right. As far as I remember, that's true. Yeah.
Yep. So it wasn't a direct connection, but in this one, right? It's years after Cobra Kai. So Cobra Kai came out, and Daniel, without being too much of a spoiler, his old rivalry with Johnny Lawrence gets, it starts over again, and Dan, he continues his training, and he's obviously not just a student at that point; he's also a teacher, right? You could say a sensei. I'll leave it alone with that. I don't want to get too much into it for you, Berg. In case you decide to revisit your Karate Kid
Wait, is Jackie,
background.
yes or no? Is Jackie Chan in this one?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to get to that. I'm
Oh,
going to
then
get
I'm
to
gonna
that. He
watch it.
is. But
I'm definitely
after
gonna see it.
Cobra Kai, this takes place a few years after Cobra Kai wrapped. Okay. So the character of Daniel LaRusso, now we know him now as a sensei. Years later, Jackie Chan is
Wait,
in
actually, I
continuing
don't
his
want to hear.
character.
I don't know anything about the movie. I'm
Oh,
excited
you
to
don't?
see it, so I don't want to
Oh,
get.
so
I
then
don't want to
don't,
get
yeah.
any information about the plot or anything. I just want to be surprised tonight or
Okay, then I'm going
tomorrow.
to shut up. All right,
Yeah.
so then I'm not going to say anything more. But yes, Jackie Chan's in it.
Okay.
Okay. And
Awesome.
Rob and I are both going to see it tomorrow night. And you're not, Proogie,
Hmm.
because
I
I don't know.
I'm not, but now that I know Jackie Chan's gonna be in it, then I will watch it.
Yeah.
So just because not, but just knowing that Daniel
No, but like,
LaRusso's,
have you ever seen like Kill Bill, the scene with the girl,
of
the
course,
Crazy
love that.
88s or whatever? Is it
Yeah,
Crazy Eights? Crazy? I don't remember what they were called.
Crazy
Or
88.
like, was it that?
Was it Crazy Eights or Crazy? I thought it
Or
was
like
Crazy 88.
Lethal Weapon 3, where they have that, I forgot his
Jet
name,
Li.
but yes, like
Oh yeah, the last
I
one
love
they did. Yeah.
all of that kung fu, you know, martial arts type of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll
Yeah.
definitely watch it. Yeah.
Well,
All right.
so
Um.
we're going to see that, and are you going with Samro?
Is that
Are
what
you
they
ready?
call it? They call it kung fu?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Kung Fu is like a modality of martial art. You know what I mean? It's like
Okay.
right.
All right.
And they just call what Mr. Miyagi did. They just call it karate. That's it. That's what they call it. He
All
doesn't
right.
do kung fu.
Anyone have any interesting stories that they, anything you experienced in the last week or so that you want to share?
Um,
Mm,
well, speaking of martial arts, I become friends with a guy who does Brazilian jiu-jitsu. This guy's like a badass. He's an actor. And he's been my scene partner. As we're in a class with uh Vincent Pastore, who was on a few seasons of Sopranos for Sopranos fame. He's like our acting coach. So it's pretty cool. We're doing some interesting scenes and
oh,
so
pussy,
uh,
you have to
I
say his
wasn't
character
going to
name.
because I
Why?
didn't.
We'd like to let you use the profanity, Brugge, so that we can blame you for for having to check the explicit
I
box.
mean, is pussy such a bad thing? I think
I think the use. I don't know. It's a little different when it's coming out of your mouth.
I
It's
mean,
it's so natural coming out of her mouth that you that start to think, hey, maybe that's not a bad word. You know.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's what I've been working on. And we were doing showcase for some people checking out our work because I'm studying on the actor side. You know, and it's been pretty exciting. I got a play coming out, that a short play, going up in July at New York Theater Festival. It's called the Celestial Field. It's a 10-minute play. I've been excited about
that's amazing.
Oh,
That's amazing.
dipping my feet back in the water of
Good for you,
theater
Maddie.
and film, and it's been an interesting journey, and I love doing this with you guys. This has been really awesome.
Matt, I don't.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that play. But when you were talking, it reminded me of just. I don't know why it reminded me of this, but Briggy, did you send Matt that audio clip? No, that was just a message you left on my machine, right? About your like that day when.
Oh my God. I totally forgot about
No.
It's going to be hard for me to. At some point, I am going to like maybe I'll do it for
play
this
it.
episode. I'm going to edit the audio into the episode, but can you tell the story because I want Matt to hear the story? That she left a voicemail. First of all, it
I
sounded like she was hiding like under the covers, like she was hiding under like in a cave or something, and she was kind of whispering and like I'm getting this voicemail, and she's telling this whole story. But I want you to tell the story, Brie.
so last Friday I was driving home and I pulled into my driveway. No, I got a call from my daughter, and she asked me to pick her up at Starbucks with two of her friends. So when I got to Starbucks, 8 girls piled into my
Yeah,
car.
you told me this stuff. Yeah.
Oh, so you know.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. I know. Yeah.
So then 8 girls piled into my car, and then I got home. I had to go to every single one of their homes to pick up their bathing suits. And then when
That's
I
about
pulled
what I
in,
know. Then that's about all I know from the story. Yeah.
and then I pulled out of my, and then once I pulled into my driveway, one of the girls said, "Oh, my mom's home. Can you go back out and get my bathing suit?" So then I had to go back out and get her bathing suit. And then we pulled back into my driveway, and now it's like 4:30. So I was driving around for an hour and a half getting these girls bathing
Yeah.
suits, and it was like 60 degrees out. So then Jeff was like, "These girls are going to get a hypothermia. Like, what are they doing?
I think I threw you
Jumping
a
in the
text
pool?"
about that when you said that. I remember thinking about it. I was like, isn't it cold out and raining? And like you're like, yeah, they're in a jacuzzi. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, all right.
But
There you go.
it just I love the story because it reminds me of two things. One is like just as a parent, basically your job is to take be a chauffeur. You know what I mean? Like you're basically if you even if you don't drive, you're on the train. Like a lot of times I call you and you're like on the train with Dill going somewhere. Like so, it's basically taking kids from one place to another. That's like your job, right? And
Yep.
then but I mean, like there's a parallel to teaching though. Like and for every parent who thinks that that's difficult or hard, like, or that's annoying. Like, I think we all know that there's certain things that happen during the school day and during the school week that are like 10 times more annoying
Yeah.
because they're not even there's things that you're doing that really shouldn't be part of the job, but they are just by
Right.
You're
nature and they're
you're
not your
you're a pa
kids.
you're a parent all day, you're a
Yeah.
counselor all day, you're a therapist all day, you're doing all those things.
Yeah.
You're on damage control, you're putting out fires all day.
I
There's
mean,
so much you're doing.
nothing prepares you for being in the
No.
field. Like,
They don't give
they don't
you
teach you this stuff when you're in college, like what to
no.
do once you get hired into a school,
And there's a lot of
work in a school.
institutions that like you just take 5 days and you got 3 credits. You can like breeze through it. You don't find out really what it's like until you're on the job. Then it's like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah.
Then it's like such an eye-opening experience. But you learn. Everybody learns. Everybody has to go through it. It's like basic training. It's like really tough at the beginning, and then you get better at everything. It just takes time. You know. I always thought management is like 65% of the job. You know. I like, from a scale of 100%, Rob, how important would you say management is?
Oh, wait, out of 100%?
Yeah, I've
Oh, I mean,
100%. I just said it's 65% of the job. I feel like if because
oh,
put it this way, if you don't have any management at all, you're not going to last like the day.
yeah, it's difficult. Like, if all of the different things you need to do combined equal 100, then I would say that you're on target. But it's like to me, it's like 100%. But that means it doesn't mean that there's no room for anything else. But
Yeah,
like it's like you said, if it's not if you don't
I think
on a spectrum of 0 to 100, let's say that your management can be 0 or it can be 100. The closer you are to 100, the more I think the more effective and the easier it is to do the job, like, to do all the other things that you need to do. Matt, can you see this gash right here? Like this red.
yes, I do. Yeah, what happened?
So anyone, Brugge, you can't really see it. I've got
Mm,
a,
I see you
um,
pointing at something on your arm.
yeah, it's a big gash on my arm. Do you want to guess how I got that?
Sure. I'm gonna.
Um,
It's like 4 inches, and it goes from like my wrist, like down my forearm, kind of.
well, you
I'm.
don't
I'm.
have
I'm.
fences in North Carolina, so at first I was like, oh, maybe you were jumping over a fence or
Jumping over a
something,
fence. Okay, jumping over a
no,
fence.
but
That,
no, because you don't really have fences, and you're not 8 years old, so
Yeah. Okay.
there goes
Okay.
that.
I'm gonna say you were playing with Sam and his friends, and you fell, and a branch like tore into your arm somehow. You had a gash from with some kids like that of Sam's
Or maybe
friends.
you were building something,
Okay.
like, I don't know.
Yeah, you're getting closer. It was a
Or you
gardening accident. So
Oh, okay.
yes, when I garden hard, basically.
That's
That's
hardcore
where I'm
gardening
getting
right
at
there.
here.
Yeah.
I go hard. So basically, you know, so this is something that I never would have even like when I lived in New York for my entire life. Basically, this would never have happened. But now I have like a yard and the garden, and so there's these like metal things that you use to do edge like the edging of like to separate like maybe like your grass from like something else, right? And I was like trying to pull a stake out of one and it just like tore my arm apart. And all I could think was like, this is not what gardening is supposed to be like, It's supposed to be like a gentle, relaxing sort of thing, not like a blood dripping down my
Not
arm.
not not for
Are
you,
you,
Mr.
is
Monahan.
that the analogy for teaching?
No, but I can
Working
come
in
up with
two
one.
schools?
It's a good. Yeah, it's a good.
You know,
It's a good. It's a
yeah, I
good way to
mean,
bring it back.
the
Yeah.
analogy is what people think teaching is versus what it is.
Well, that's a
Right,
good one actually.
exactly. Yeah.
What's the worst injury that you got actually teaching? That's a
I,
separate podcast.
That's a
I
separate
once threw
podcast.
out my back, right?
Matt, I was gonna say that yours is probably throwing out your back.
Well, it happened many times, and I was
Yeah.
known for one time they just so the security guard came up.
Wait, I think, wait. Did I see you laying on the floor
I was
once because
flat
you,
on the
yes,
floor. No,
yes.
here's the thing. And the kids, that's when I was in that closet of a room, right?
Yeah.
And I was flat on the floor and I could not move, right?
Oh
With my ass
no.
in the air. I was like on my belly. You know what I mean? And I'm on there. And then I think like the security guard came in with one of the admin, and they were like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "No, I'll just leave me for a while. Just make sure you cover the next class." I was like, "Wait, when are you going to be able to get up?" I was like, I don't know yet. I don't know yet, but just I can't. Should we help? No, don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. I'm just gonna be for. And then I eventually had to go home. It was really bad. But I remember the worst it happened was in a special ed class, and I remember it was with that. Well, it was with that. It was with a teacher that we've called. Was very similar to George the Animal Steel, if you guys remember. Okay.
Right, right.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you know which class I'm in. So
Yeah.
I'm in George the Animal Steel's class, and basically George the Animal Steel stays in the room at that point. You're very impulsive, like and I'm like, and I'm teaching and I'm doing my thing, and I sort of I bent over to do something, and I just sort of get stuck in this position, right? And I'm like and I can't move. And I remember George came over. You're like, what can I do for you? And I remember I couldn't look at the kids, but these were the kind of students you really had to pay attention to what they were doing. So, like the whole time, you couldn't turn away. So I just said, make sure they're okay, because I couldn't turn to look at them. She's like, what? Make sure they're okay. Help them. So she was like, I was like, okay. And then I remember I was like one of those old men that just are like completely bent over, and you wonder how they move. And I just had to stay that way for a while. And then eventually I had to get out of there. And I just sort of limp back. I'm in the annex. So then I had to get out of there and go back to the other school. And the security guard over there is like, anything we can do? I was like, no, I'll get back. Oh man, those back injuries were really. I had to have a cane at work for when that happened, when my back went out.
I remember that.
Brugge, worst injury or whatever.
I mean, it wasn't, well, I was pregnant. When I was pregnant with Austin, I got punched in the stomach by a child.
My God.
Yeah,
Oh.
it was pretty bad. I
What
mean,
what did
thankfully
you did you
everything
punch
was
him back
okay.
or you bop him on the head?
But yeah. So I would say that is my worst one. That was awful.
Yeah, because then also you're worried about
I remember it was
Austin.
like my
So
first, it was like my first, it wasn't my first year. It was yeah, I think I was there maybe a year and a half, maybe even less. And I can remember thinking because at that time I'm so new. I don't know if this is like a generational thing or maybe because I was so new, but I didn't really say anything. Like I didn't know what to do about it. I know
Yeah.
it sounds so crazy, but like when you're at your job and you think and you want to do the right thing and you don't want to make waves, even though I was hit and I was pregnant, like it's bananas what happens like with your mind when
Oh,
you
early,
don't want to.
dude, early on, I remember there was a kid who wanted to just beat up every kid, and at a certain point, I just stood there blocking like five kids because he's going to send them to the hospital. They had no defense mechanism. They couldn't even like, like they didn't have any balance or anything. They had so many um, issues, hand-eye coordination, walking and everything. And he just had a moment. We had to clear everybody out. I stood in between them so he wouldn't attack them. He was trying to, and and I just like let him beat me up until there was help. And this was like about 30 seconds of a kid just punching me as hard as they could, and and this was just another day,
Yeah.
Right. And it's like you don't really say anything or
I
admin
mean,
knows, but then
they
you get
knew, but nobody
they
really,
know. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like cared. They just moved the kids over. I think there was a report, but really it was just another nothing really is going to happen to be like, are you all right or anything like that. This wasn't like, this was another day at the office,
Right.
Yeah,
All right.
I
So
mean,
should I
woo,
start?
woo, woo, woo. Breaking news, breaking news,
Yeah.
new segment, breaking news thing.
I mean, I was
Wait,
gonna.
what about you,
Pull
Rob? What
Yeah,
about
no,
you?
I was gonna tell my story, but Brugge just wants to skip me and go to breaking
Well, I
news. I mean,
told you.
that's fine, I guess.
No, go ahead, Rob. I
No, I
said
mean, the breaking news.
I I was teasing, but then I also said,
Cancel
and so what
breaking
about you,
news.
Rob?
It's canceled.
Wait,
It's canceled.
I'm gonna make Brugge feel bad now for
No,
trying to
don't,
silence
please.
me and not tell my story. So mine aren't really injuries, but so just a quick thing in the DOE at least, I think I don't know if it's still this way. Like you would earn one sick day per month. Does it still work like that?
Yes, because
Okay.
you get 10 a
So you earn
year.
a sick
Yeah.
day per month or whatever, and they accrue, and at the end of your career, if there's a way to like cash them in if you don't use them. But so in 2008 when I had the bile duct cancer, I had to get a giant chunk of my liver removed, right? So I go in, I get the surgery, and and then I think I was only out for a week and a half or something, or no, that's not true. Maybe like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but I used up like all of the days that I had. So then like I remember like Gloria like donated days to me, which was amazing. You know what I mean? And other people too. But
Yes.
even when I came back, I wasn't this is just what teachers do. Like I shouldn't have gone back that soon. You know what I mean? Like, but you're in this position where it's like you have no more sick days and you kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, and you feel like you're letting the kids down. So I wound
Right.
up
You
going,
feel guilty. You
yeah,
feel guilty.
I wound
Yeah.
up going back in way sooner than I should have, but I was not in good shape when I went back. And then the same thing when I had the thyroid cancer and I had the thyroid removed, like, I was back in before the stitches even healed. So I have this cut across my throat basically. You know what I mean? And back sitting
Yeah.
in the classroom, can't really talk fully yet, but it's like I think that's just like a thing that I think any teacher can relate to that, and it's
Yeah.
probably had a similar type of thing. So
Yeah.
For the kids, did they take it easy on you? Could they sense you were not
yeah,
fully
yes,
there?
I could tell that they were, you know what I mean? Like,
That
they
always gets
loved,
me that
yeah,
when they can pick up that you're not 100%, you can't really get into details. That always got me about
yeah,
kids, working
yeah,
with kids.
Yeah.
And when something's wrong and they could just sense
They're very
something's not
perceptive.
quite right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
okay, now without further
Breaking
You just
news.
like brought me down, and now I have to do the thing. I was doing a thing, and now I was like, I don't feel like doing it. I was like,
I
it's
should
gonna
have
be a
told.
sad one. Woo, woo, woo! Pull over, Rudy. Pull over.
Breaking news.
News
Breaking news.
with Brugge. All right.
All
So we have a
right.
new segment
So
called Breaking News. Brugge's going to try not to get into an accident. She's going to pull over her car.
well,
And
so I hate to say this right now, boys, but I am right by JFK Airport, and it's going to be difficult for me to pull
Oh my
over
God!
at
Breaking
this
oh,
moment.
news.
Breaking news, why she's driving.
Can you
Oh, so we're
tell
not
this?
doing breaking
Can you
news?
tell it from memory or
Yeah,
no?
yes, I can tell the
Okay.
story.
Okay.
All right. So
So,
what's going on?
so so this story is from Australia. So an
Mm.
Australian media outlet, they reported that a teacher in one of their high schools had asked the students to call her Miss Purr. So
Miss
the
Purr.
students report Miss
Mm.
Purr,
Okay.
Purr.
Okay. Oh.
So the students reported that she was hissing at them and licking the back of her hands. Um,
Hmm.
Photos show the teacher wearing cat ear headbands, and that she would wear like a name tag that said "Purr" on it. Um, and that parents would complain and say like that their children would
Is it a
come home
class
from
for adults, or
school.
this is for
No,
kids,
no,
or
no,
this is
high
adult?
High
school.
school. High
That the
school.
kids were
Okay.
complaining that
Hmm.
they wanted them to that the teacher wanted them to purr and growl and call her Miss Purr. The DOE in Australia didn't basically said that they that they hold high standards for their teachers, and then the teacher also denied doing any of this, and that her initials of her name are PRR. So she had said, I told them to call me Miss Purr because my initials are PRR. And then the report reads further that the teacher no longer works in the school. So she's gone. So that's my
Well,
educational news story of the week.
So they didn't believe her excuse. So what? This is in high school, you said, right? So
Yeah,
what do you know what was it freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, or how do
I
you
don't
know?
think I don't know that it matters though, right? I don't know.
it's like, wait, it was okay. It was just freshman. Okay, that's fine.
That's a good point.
Well,
Yeah.
just to say, on our analytics, we apparently have one listener in Australia, and
Oh,
yes, and
We got
then
a fan.
and
We got a
if you're
fan.
if you're listening out there, if
We say, yeah.
I would love to believe that our one listener is this person, and if so, contact us because we want to have you on the podcast.
well, like I'm just thinking, was it school spirit day,
No.
or does she do this all the time?
Every teacher in the world listening right now and like is not even surprised by this. They're like, yeah, we got one of those in our school.
Mm.
It's like it's just like we have like when I say George the Animal Steel, you guys think of the same person, and we all verified that through text. We could,
Yeah.
this is probably, I guarantee you that like there's so many people that would be listening thinking, oh yeah, we have one of those, but
This is
you know.
accurate.
Well,
Matt, do you want to bring us into our topic for today?
this
we're like 30 minutes in.
sure. All right, so now we're going to talk about dog teachers and no, okay. All right, so the topic today we were going to talk about inquiry and the extra 50 minutes that a teacher has to go through during the day.
What is
Whether
that?
it's a more
So is this just because I'm not sure whether this is something that was happening when I was still there. I mean, some of it was, but I'm not sure if I'm thinking of the same thing you guys were are thinking about when we
well,
talk about this term.
we
And
just when we were
people
there, we just
outside
had
of New York City too need to know what it means.
I think we just had PDs, right? Like when you were there. When did inquiry actually become a
I
thing
just
for you?
re-
Do you know?
I just remember going to to that 55 minutes after school
Hmm.
and admin saying, we're doing inquiry, but
Right.
nobody explained what it meant.
What the hell it
There was
was? Yeah.
no like definition, there was
What
no
was
like
it though?
explanation.
So what it is you reflect on your teacher practice and you you also look at how the students are doing and compare the data over time, right?
By
I
yourself?
have that.
Oh, I thought so. It's not like trying out new pilot programs like with a little sort of like cohort of students.
Okay.
See,
You know
I didn't
what?
even know what it was.
Right. You
I'm
take
taking,
like a group, yeah, you take like a group of kids and you look how they do over a certain amount of
guys.
time,
You guys are all over the.
which
I'm taking over this conversation because now I'm going to frame this out for the audience because you guys are all over the
the fact that
place.
we don't know is perfect.
No, no, no.
That's
This
No,
I
it's
have
for
I
real.
have some background information that's going to lead us into this because now I understand what you guys are talking about.
Chat
all right.
GPT.
No, 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 not ChatGPT.
Can we just
Experience,
talk about
Broogie.
can we just talk
Experience.
about the teacher who was Miss Purr again? Can we just go back to that?
No. So,
Okay. All right. All
all
right.
right. Back when I started teaching, the school day ended at 2:20. Right. So at
Mm,
2:20, the kids get dismissed, and we teachers leave. We go home. Right.
mm.
At a certain point, and this is during the Bloomberg era when Bloomberg took over as mayor and contract negotiations started to fail, right? There was a big war between basically Bloomberg administration and the union. And so, in order to settle for a new contract, the it always comes down to we want to get paid more and the city saying, well, then we want you to work more. You know what I mean? So
Right.
they weren't willing to pay us more and for us to continue to leave at 2:20. So basically there like this initiative started where okay, the kids are still going to leave at 2:20, but you teachers have to stay until 3:20 or 3:10 or whatever, right? An extra 50 or 55 minutes or an extra hour every day. And so then that took on many forms. The form the dominant form that I remember was where like Matt or one of you was just saying, like 4 or 5 kids who were struggling and whose parents had given permission for them to stay longer would come to my room. And yes, and I think Brugge, you said piloting. Like I was basically supposed to work with those kids specifically on like say reading and math and whatever, during that time. There was also a period though where the kids weren't involved, and we just like
That's
we would go
later.
to PDs constantly, like every day
Yeah.
that were
Yeah.
meaningless.
Well, I was actually talking about where you took a few kids in your class, and then you didn't actually work with them after school. You just watched their data over a certain amount of time. Like they always decided, like we're going to work with the twos or the threes.
Hmm.
I don't know. It was like a big headache. It
And
was
do
it was
what? But do what with them? Like, what were
like
you doing with them?
I don't
Like,
know. I mean, I was trying always not to do it. First of all, because I was a cluster, it didn't make sense.
I used to do science with
Like
them.
what?
I said
you used
the
to do
kids who had me
exercise.
were like the luckiest kids. I used to do like
No, I
really
don't mean when I had them in
fun.
my room. That was one thing. I'm talking about later when they just said track these kids' work for a certain amount of time.
Oh,
Like that was like a whole other thing. And I was like, and they wanted me because they had me doing what they were doing, and it didn't match. So clusters, I don't know, clusters. I think it's a lot. It depends who was running the show, but a lot of times they
So
just said you figure it out for what works for you, and it was
I
kind of
can
like.
also I can also remember them giving us news articles and stories that we would have to highlight and then discuss in our PD, and nobody
yeah.
wanted to read the book.
Oh,
Nobody
no, no,
wanted to read the articles. People were complaining
do you
because who
remember the
wants to do
sharing?
that?
No, you would split up into groups, and then you'd have to read with your group, and then you would come back, and then the share. Nobody want. There was always the same like 5 or 6 people that would do the share for their group, and get up, because nobody wanted to do it. But then it comes down to like the day you had. And if it's at the end of the day when we
Yeah.
used to meet in the line, you just drop the kids outside, right? And you're like this, you're pulling out your hair, you're about to just take your fist and ram it through the glass. And you're there. And then you go into the library and it's like hot and stuffy, and someone's like figuring out how to open the windows. And it's the worst environment to be with after you just work with kids all day.
And
And
everyone,
it's like you could have escaped. That you see the door too, like when you're leaving, and then like, no, you don't get to go that way. You
no,
got to go back up there with them. You
everyone
know,
has their coat on and their jacket, like their bag on their shoulder, like they're
Oh,
basically just sitting there waiting for the exact second.
itching to leave.
Yeah.
and everyone's making bad jokes and everything. And then it starts and it's quiet, but then somebody comes late, right? And you see them walking by the glass and they're all nervous. And then and then all the seats are taken.
Yeah,
So then
yeah,
it's a whole other
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
I mean, after years, I got to the point where I found like, this seat nobody wanted to sit in, but it was like the most comfortable chair. And I went all the way to the back
yeah.
corner
In the
by
library.
myself. Yeah, in the
Yeah.
library. It was
Library.
the one with wheels on it.
Yeah.
And I would just and I always would like I would sit there. You want to come over? No, no, I'm good. I'm good. You take it. You take it. And I just sat in the back there and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And every teacher across the entire city, like the entire army of everyone is thinking the same thing. Like it's not so much like, okay, we're getting, we got a contract, we're getting paid more, and yeah, this is annoying, but okay, if you're gonna make us stay till 3:10, like just let us go in our rooms and work on our
And
rooms
work.
and work on
Yeah.
preparing for tomorrow. Like, why are we going through all
Well,
this
they started
nonsense?
doing that, but they send you with people. You had to go to another person's room, and then you're with six other people, and then you're with those people. And then, so I
Oh,
would
that's
always try to
right.
plan. I'd always try to like work it out. Like, wait, who do I get? Wait, where should I go? Where's the people I get along with? And I would try to find them. Like, I'm
Oh,
with them.
right. As
I'm
like
with
a
them.
cluster, you were able to choose.
Yeah, so no, I was, I had a strategy. I was like looking around. I was like watching this, like where should I go? Oh, no, 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 no. All right, they're safe. Go with them. Go with them. So I would just go with them. All right, all right. And they're like, yeah, we'll take Jacobs. He'll come with us. So I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And they're just gonna do their thing, and it has nothing to do with what I'm doing. And it was a colossal waste of time for cluster
Right.
teachers. You just
Right.
try to hang in there.
When did this end? Because when I left, this was still going on. So when did this end?
No, it's still going. They still have 55 minutes.
Wait,
They
what?
still
Yeah, but
have,
how do you? What time is dismissal?
so dismissal still at 2:20 for kids, and then on Mondays I think it's like 3:20 for the staff.
Only on Monday? Broogie? Is
Oh, we
she there?
lost her.
Did we lose
I don't know.
Broogie?
We might
Oh,
we might have
hi,
lost her.
I'm here. I don't know what
Yeah.
happened.
What are you
He
Hi.
just said, "Is it?"
doing?
I'm sorry.
What are you doing? Okay.
You're on a podcast, Fergie. I just want to remind you that. Okay.
Um.
Anyway,
Oh,
he was
No.
saying, is
So
it?
I was saying, was it only Monday? People have to stay until 3:20.
yeah. So now because they vote on, because back in the day it was Mondays and Tuesdays people had to stay late, and now it's just Mondays, and then we also do the morning hours. So it's coming in earlier in the morning instead of staying late on a Tuesday. You come in early on a Monday, and then you stay late on the Monday.
Remember when COVID happened? So for years we just did this thing on Zoom. Now we stopped doing live. Are you guys seeing each other live now, or do you just do Zoom?
So I'm not really part of it because I have a different schedule than them. So they are in person for the most part when they do their PD. They're in person. So they'll go into the auditorium, and then whatever administration decides that they're going to present for that day, they do. So it's mostly
Okay.
in person.
Wait, I have a question though. I guess what I was asking is, do any kids still stay past 2:25?
Not only if they're in clubs like chess club
No, I don't. I'm not
or
talking
yeah,
about after
no,
school.
No,
no.
I'm
not
talking
not
But not
about
not
for
as
inquiry.
not
part
the
of the New
inquiry.
York City Department
Nope,
of Education
nope,
school
nope,
No,
day.
nope,
Okay.
not
no,
inquiry.
So
no.
when did that end? Because I left
I
in
have no idea.
2004. I didn't like. I never. I left after the 2013 school year. In other words, you know what I mean. So at some point, that
Somewhere along
nonsense.
there, that stopped when we were watching kids and just
Yeah, I don't
looking at
remember.
each other and
I know that the contract wasn't settled until several years after I left, and I didn't get the benefit of the retroactive pay because I had been out of the.
I
I
got
should have
out before
gotten it
that
because
happened.
the contract was already 4 years expired when I left, but because I had been out for more than 2 years or something, I didn't wind up getting any retro pay that I should have gotten, which was very annoying.
That's really
Just
shitty.
missed it.
But
I don't know. I don't know that answer.
A
Good
lot of my
question.
day was worked around trying to get out of inquiry, but one time I did have the best excuse. I dropped my piano. I dropped my phone in the
What?
piano. Yeah, reverse that.
What do you
Yeah, I dropped.
mean? Drop
So
your
it's a
I'm
grand
piano?
playing
piano.
it's a grand piano, and my phone. I was always doing, I was always doing music, graduation, everything. And it's the end of the day. I'm practicing. I think we just finished up, and my phone gets trapped inside the piano. Now, for all you piano teachers, if you drop anything in there, it's gone. There's no way you can, we know how to open, generally open the piano, but to actually take apart a piano, you need really like a certified, like, a piano tuner or somebody that knows how to, take apart a grand piano.
What did you say?
So we're about to have inquiry when this happens. And I'm kind of an anxious, nervous guy. And I was more sad than anything because I really realized there's no way I can get this out. And I had like, I had pictures of my father, and like who passed away. And I had very important things to me. And I was like, and today everything's like in there. You don't have it in an album if you didn't email it. So there was so many things that were just gone. And I was sitting there. I was more sad and defeated. And the speech teacher comes in. I won't say her name because I don't know. She wants her name on this thing, and who I was friends with, comes over and she just sees me and I'm defeated. I'm just like looking at it in there, and I'm supposed to be an inquiry. I'm just done. I'm just done looking at my piano, my phone. It's vibrating inside the piano. She's like, Matt, what's the matter? I'm like, look, like my phone's in there, and there's no way to get it out. And she's like, oh, you got to have you got to have it opened and everything. I was like, I know, I have to go to inquiry. I'm just gonna have to get a new phone and. There's pictures I'm going to lose now. There's no, no, and then she's like, oh, well, my husband's a piano tuner and I'll just call him and he'll come and he'll take apart the piano and then you'll have your phone again.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. She just texted me.
Yeah. I'm looking at him like, will he do that? I'm like, oh yeah, he's in the area. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing. But I'm supposed to be at inquiry right now. So I go to inquiry, right, where they're all having meetings, and the principal is sitting at the table, and I'm like, and this is not a principal that I know too well. This is not, I think at that point she was rather new. So I just sort of like walked over to her. I'm like, and I leaned in, like I just kind of sat, like she's on a chair, and I just sort of like came over, like almost like a child. I'm leaning down, and I'm just sort of like. Hi, and she's working. I'm like, hi, how are you? So I know I'm supposed to be here right now. So I dropped my phone inside the piano. Yeah, and now people now all working. They're at this point they stop and they're looking at me yeah, and I'm like, and I just continue. I'm like, so it would be there permanently, but I found out that so and so husband can open the piano because he's a piano tuner, and then I would have my phone back. Then I would have it back. Can I not go to inquiry and go downstairs and meet him and have him take apart our piano, and then I would get my phone back? And she just looked at me in my face, like I was like, she's like, sure, go ahead. That was it.
Isn't it ridiculous that you, as an adult, even have to ask that question?
I was just about to say this.
Like the fact that you have to ask permission to leave inquiry to go and get your freaking phone, like that's the stupidest thing.
Yeah,
it's like you're whispering. You're like, hello, God. Hello. Can I continue to live, please?
You know what? I never even thought about it. How pathetic it is that I did feel that way, like that I had, even when I was completely defeated about getting, and it was like personal, pictures of my father who died that I wanted. I'm still thinking I got to get up to inquiry and let them know. What I mean? And it was and I realized, at that point I thought it was like just gone. There's no way to get this back, and I didn't put it in an album or anything.
That's but tied into what we were saying before about feeling bad or guilty about or just being present or like, pussyfooting around our administration. Like the fact that you had to go and ask for permission is very funny.
I didn't have to. It was in me programmed.
Well, you felt like you had to.
You felt like you had
to.
Yeah. So I did. Long story short, he opened the piano and I got my phone back. That was it.
Yeah. I think this entire topic, like the inquiry topic, the 55 minutes, this whole thing, it kind of bleeds into a larger topic of like all of the mandatory but kind of like ineffective, unnecessary things that you are made to do. Like it becomes part of the job. You don't have a choice. You can't just leave and say, I'm not going to inquiry every day. Like it's in your contract, right? So, and like that would be like just deciding to leave at 1:00 every day. It's just not something you can do, right? But I think in a future episode, we'll get into things like assessments, right? And then we'll get into things like, and when we do that, you're going to see me go absolutely bananas because I love talking about how like ridiculously wrong we do assessments of kids, and but yeah, I think
Here's
I think we're going to have a lot of topics that have to do with this big larger idea of the kind of like ineffective waste of time,
I was
unnecessary.
going to say, that's exactly what I
and
was about to say. The biggest
surviving
waste of time.
but surviving an ineffective waste of time, which is how people survive, is they turn to each other like, well, what are you doing for this? There was so much of that
Yeah,
going
yeah,
on that I
yeah.
remember. And then you get nervous, like, you're doing this, I'm not doing that. Well, how did you do it? Oh, no, 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 it's so easy. Just open up. I just have a sheet and it has these three things in the sheet. That's what they wanted to see. How long you been doing that? Well, she told me how to do it. I'll get you one. And then people just pass over. And then,
Yep.
and that's really what was going on. It was like hidden secret information. Wait, we're supposed to do this now? What do
Yeah.
you, well,
It's
I
like
don't know. I
we're
think I'm just doing it, just in case I have it,
There's
you
like
know?
an underground information
Right.
system.
It's like Fight Club for inquiry.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I think the worst part about like was when it was early in the morning, right? Because you don't know what planet you're on, and then you're like
Yeah, it's like
rushing,
7
No,
20 in the
I
morning
never
and
had that.
and,
people.
and that's before you work. Then, hey, guess what happens after? Then you have to teach, and like so, your brain is like explode from this, and then all of a sudden, right after that, that's when your day starts, you know.
Yeah, I don't really function before the kids come. Like once the kids walk in the door, I'm like on, right? But
Right.
before that, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing for the day. There's no way that my brain is on to do a PD or talk about or go to inquiry. Yeah.
I
I don't
barely
know
got
what's
there on
worse is
time for
when
8:10.
I was bad for a lot of years. I started to come when I moved further. I got there really early because it was either I was going to get there really, really, really late or just really, really, really early. And the only way it was to do it was to get there really early because otherwise I would be so late because I was so far off. But when I was closer, it was easy. Then I would just be a little bit late, like all the time, a little bit late. And um, and I got used to
Probably
that.
when I was the most punctual was like there was a period where this is like leading up to my last year when then I was living in Queens and then Brugge, you would swing by sometimes on Myrtle.
Oh yeah, and pick your ass up.
Yep. And then I would get a ride and then, because you were punctual, you were on time, so.
Yeah.
Brad, do you remember we would cover for each other?
Yep.
We'd be like,
No
oh,
way.
I'm
Wait,
like,
I never heard this. So tell
this-
me, what did you do?
so it's just early on, like we had a fridge in there too. So then some people like got used to putting the food in our fridge. And then so if one of us, if they couldn't get in, they might get annoyed. So we we just had signals out like, oh, don't worry about it now. Just go. Don't make a fuss about the fridge.
No, but also
And
if
then
one of us had first period prep and the other didn't, and the one who was teaching was running late, the other one would cover. So like if you were teaching first period and I had first period prep and you were running late and you weren't there, I would know to just like bring the kids in and start the meeting. You know what I mean? And then you would kind of come in like the side, you know what I mean? And never
yeah,
super late, but because
yeah,
I think you and I and probably some other people had a really good relationship with payroll secretaries, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And the people in the office. So like coming in like 5 minutes late, I never moved my card or punched
No,
my
I didn't
card,
either.
right?
I didn't
So I
either.
never did. Like, so coming in
I,
5 minutes late, no one knows except for, I mean, us, you know what I mean? And so the
yeah.
teachers who are dropping their kids off would never call down because the other one of us
I
would.
mean, also, you guys were like the golden children. Like, you
Back
guys are
then,
pretty untouchable.
back then, yeah.
Yeah. Except with one
Later
or
on was
two,
there when I was there.
except
Forget
with
about
one assistant principal, maybe, but
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, but I meant like like school secretaries and the main administrator at the time. Like,
And
yeah,
security.
and security. like all the key players.
Yeah. I mean, like,
Yeah, I
but
wasn't.
I mean, in a school of 100 staff members, there's only like one at a time. There's only one male. And then at the most, I think we had 4 or 5 male teachers, like at the
Yeah.
max,
I
including
mean,
us, including me, you, and Neil.
I, I don't think they cared about me being late. I was greeted as baby cakes every morning. So,
Yes, that's right.
Baby
if
cakes.
you're out there listening,
Wait,
Buttercup, hi.
where did you
Hey, that's my
even?
work wife you're talking about.
I don't even know,
Sorry.
like, where did you even get that name from?
Uh,
Baby cakes. I don't even know.
From
Uh,
Is that a,
Buttercup.
yeah.
Buttercup gave it to me.
no, I mean, like, is there a story behind it? Is there an origin story of baby cake, like where it came from? Or did
Well,
she just decide to name
I
you
was
baby
the
cake?
work boyfriend. So, no, the actual name, no, Buttercup I got from Princess Bride, right?
Yeah. No, we would have to ask.
Like baby cakes, I'm not exactly sure, like how did it actually happen,
Buttercup
you
needs to
know?
come on. Tell us the origin story of baby cakes. Because
Baby
now I'm
cakes,
thinking there probably is one, and now I'm thinking I wonder what it is.
well,
Oh, you
that
know
would be
what?
that would be an
Before
awesome episode.
Yeah, before we wrap up, um, I want to put in a bid. I want to put in like if anyone ever has a bid for a future episode, just lay it out towards the end here. But I want to put in a bid for us to have an episode where we talk about party bus.
Oh, 100%. I mean, there
Yeah.
are things that we can and
Yeah,
cannot,
yeah, yeah.
right?
I mean, the things about party bus that we can talk about, I'd like to talk about.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
That definitely should be something. And
Especially
we
like
should,
the in school stuff, like how it would take over
yes.
that whole. So, and also
Well,
just
I think,
the logistics of like, hey, what is because I'm curious, has any other school anywhere ever
School
done
did
something like
anything
this
like
as their
that.
intern party? You know what I mean? Like, I would
yeah,
doubt it, but
yeah. And also, like, why and how it came about.
yes,
I think,
exactly.
right?
Stress that
Yeah.
they were going through and all of that,
I
and
think that's a
yeah.
good idea. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Before we wrap, oh,
Yeah,
sorry,
no,
go
no,
ahead.
go ahead.
Before we wrap up, does does your family listen to, like, did you tell your family, your friends, your significant others about this podcast? And if
Yeah.
you did, do they listen?
My wife, yeah, Dylan has been following the shorts that we put up to advertise. He's a big fan of those. And I know there's teachers in my son's school that have been listening. So shout out to
Oh,
them if they're listening. Hello, hello. He loves school. So and what about you guys?
For me, not
yeah.
I think everyone knows that it exists, but I'm not like I don't know if I have anyone listening, and because at the same time, like I feel for some reason I feel weird, like I don't want to ask someone to listen. You know what I mean? So I
Oh,
figure,
same thing.
yeah, I figure if someone if person is aware of it and at some point they decide that they're going to listen, then that's great. But if they
I
don't,
kind
then
of
they don't.
like
You know what I mean?
I
Yeah.
like that we just started it and we're not doing it that way.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
I
Right.
want
Yeah.
we want and this is nothing against like our friends and family, but obviously we want like a following and people to really like tune in and listen, as we're growing
Mm-hmm.
this. You know what I mean? And like so it's kind of cool when just you find out new people listening and things like that. Like I didn't ask my son to do that. He just he told a couple of teachers in his school and they told him, "Oh, I'm listening to your son's
Yeah, yeah.
your father's
Cool.
podcast." You know what I mean?
Well,
Like it happened like that.
if you look across all the social media channels, and like an interesting statistic is that, if you look at all the views and all the likes and all the, if you look across all the views, like
I know a lot of
90,
them.
yeah, but 95% of those are people who are, how do I say this, are new. They're
Yeah,
95% of them are people who like were non-followers, I guess is a good point. Like people, they're not our friends and family, in other words. You know what I mean? So that
So, that's great.
yeah.
That's great. I told Jeff, I told him about the podcast, obviously. And he said, why would I listen to the podcast that you're on if I have to listen to you every day?
Yes, I can.
I'm like, you mother.
Why
I
would I
guess we lost that.
voluntarily
I
subject
guess we
Why would
lost
myself?
I guess we lost Jeff. That's a good
So
point, Jeff.
Jeff is not a listener.
I mean, yeah, it's like I'm sitting here, like this behind me. This is my house, right? So Carlene can listen live while she's working downstairs. You know what I mean? So, you know, but
Yeah.
But also, just to say this too, I don't know about for other people, but I don't know if intimate's the right word, but like listening to a podcast is kind of like an intimate thing. It's like because it's just the person and the listener and the podcast, right? But it's usually there's a time investment, so it's kind of like if people listen to podcasts out there, they're usually like, I don't know, on some level emotionally or psychologically drawn to certain podcasts for certain reasons. And
Yes.
you know what I mean?
Right.
So like Carlene has like 2 or 3 things that she listens to consistently. You know what I mean? Like those are the ones that she listens to. And I mean, that's what a following is, right? But
Right. Yeah. Like when
and
I
I do
listen to,
I do too, actually. All of mine are
Yeah.
like medical, like they're, like the Peter Attia podcast is like one that I listen to. And,
well, when I listened to Howard Stern, I mean, like I was religious about it.
right,
I listened
right.
every
Religious
single day.
is a good word.
Religiously. Yeah.
There's a
So,
lot of wrestling ones that I like.
Mhm.
Click this. Kevin Nash.
but, all right. Well, Maddie, you want to take us out of here?
Yeah, everybody stopped talking after I said I watched Click This, but yeah, it's a really good podcast. Kevin
take your word
Nash,
for it.
Big Daddy Cool, Diesel. No, nothing. It's hard to tell people you're a wrestling fan when you're 49. Anyway, that's why I talked to Herbie. It's a great podcast.
People are like, "Oh, Olympic wrestling?" You're like, "No.
No, I
no.
like pro wrestling.
Sunday Night Raw."
It's Monday Night Raw.
Monday, sorry.
I'm so disappointed in you, Rob.
Monday Night Raw.
I like Sunday Night Raw. What the hell are you talking
Monday Night
Even
Raw.
Brugge knew that one.
That's something else.
Oh, man. I'm alone in this world. Oh, man. Oh, yeah. Podcast is over. Rob doesn't know when Monday Night Raw is on. Thank you, Randy Savage. No, he doesn't. I used to be on it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, thanks for tuning in to Play and Teach, everybody. I'm Matt. This is Rob and Brugge, and we'll catch you next time.
Okay. See ya.